Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night, and we are live here with the High Council on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is a good friend, Caffeinated Wolf. What is up, man?
Hello, how's it going, High Council community? It is going great with me. I've been busy.
That's always good to hear, man.
Yeah. Good times. Got a lot of good things happening right now. I'm excited for all of it.
Good. You know, you normally hear, oh, people got this and that going on. It's nice to hear that you're just like, yep, everything's good, and I'm excited. So that's going to be the tenor of tonight's show, folks.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
Try and keep it that way.
We'll try to keep it that way because we have some topics that we got to talk about. But before we talk about those topics, let's introduce someone who's been on this channel multiple times, but we're always excited to have him back. Say hello to Nick from Echo Base Network. What is up, man?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Glad to be here. I started off watching the High Council years ago, and so I'm glad that you brought it back. When it went away, I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" So glad it's back, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks for being a part of its return. I just needed some time to take care of projects and other stuff. And folks know we've had the WCBS show has never stopped, and the other projects, the videos and stuff, haven't stopped as well. So be on the lookout for more, but we're excited to have you here tonight. So we are not alone, though. Always on WCBS, we are joined by the audience. So let's say hello to our friend Dr. Coffin Nails. We have a shout out to Dengar Renegade. That's a good name. Hello to Keely Chow, Alexander the Great, SH Rebels 08, Christian Van Dyke. Who else we got? We have Cortanis 001 and a whole lot more. Folks, Miss Ninja Julian, Echo Base Network's also in the chat as well. Folks, if we keep saying hey to everybody, we're going to be here all night. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with tonight's first topic. As you see in the description, Caffeinated Wolf, we talked about this off air for a couple minutes. We were both very disappointed by the fact that we could possibly be in the middle of another bad DC movie with Black Adam. What was your takeaway when you heard the news that it could be a bed shitter, an Amber Heard film, if you will?
Oh, I think I'm gonna have to go take a shower after just hearing that name. It really depressed me, to be honest, because there aren't that many cape shit films coming out anymore that I get excited about, and I can't remember the last time I was excited for one. But this was one that I was legitimately looking forward to, if for no other reason than I have been a huge fan of The Rock since the 90s, WWF days, up through a good bulk of his Hollywood performances, even some of the quirky ones. I'm a big fan of the guy, and I was hoping that he would bring a great energy to the character. I was hoping that the movie would be highly produced, and it does look like it's highly produced. However, if we are to believe the critics, and I will say it's possible that this is a case of like Venom syndrome, right? Where Sony's Venom was panned by most of the critics. And to be fair, it's not a great movie, but the majority of us had fun with it. I was hoping that would be the case with this, but if you're to believe the critics, it's highly produced shit. Is kind of what it looks like. And that makes me sad.
You know, me too, because I always try to preface this, being a big fan of The Rock, I like to separate the wrestling from the acting so I can give movies a fair shake. I don't think it's fair to critique Black Adam just because Backlash 2000 was one of the best matches for the WWF title. Like, that's not a fair thing to lump into why I like The Rock. So I always try to separate that and go in with a blank slate. And every time I do that with one of these movies and judge them on their own merit, I never leave very fulfilled. I always go, well, it was pretty funny, or The Rock's solid, but nothing blew me away. But in the back of my mind, I'd always been waiting for The Rock to play a superhero because he looks like a superhero in real life.
He does look like a modern day physical titan.
Yeah, like him, Batista, when he's, ready for a role, those guys look like superheroes. And that's why, Batista's been playing one for a couple years with Drax. God, it's been 8 years now. But with The Rock never playing a superhero, it was kind of like the great debate. When's The Rock going to play a superhero? Who's he going to play? And now that it's here and kind of this, I'm surprised but not surprised. Because as much as I love the dude, in terms of the wrestling stuff, there's a lot of hype around his movies, and I don't think they ever deliver. Rampage, San Andreas, a lot of these big budget movies that were supposed to change the game, Skyscraper, which was just terrible Die Hard ripoff. Like, I saw all these movies, I supported all these movies, and none of them were very good. Baywatch wasn't very good. I'm like I said, I'm not surprised. And like you say, it's an overproduced piece of shit, apparently. And you have to give these movies a fair shake and all that stuff, and remember that criticism is subjective. But at the same time, you can't help but be disappointed knowing that with all of the resources and star power, I mean, like, look, The Rock's great, but Pierce Brosnan's even cooler. You got some big names in this film.
He was a perfect cast, I feel, for Dr. Fate.
Yeah. Dude, I would never call myself a Dr. Fate aficionado. I only know him through the cartoons and a handful of comic books I've read. Pierce Brosnan can play pretty much damn near anything if you role appropriate. And so I was excited to see Pierce Brosnan play a superhero even more so than The Rock. And it's like the whole thing is this is an overindulgent movie that has too many action scenes. I hope you're right though. I hope somebody sees this movie and goes, "Look, it's balls to the wall insanity. How do people not like this?" It took me a year to see Venom. I liked Venom a lot. If I rank it among other Spider-Man movies, I like it more than some of the amazing movies. So I'm with you on the whole criticism is subjective. Sometimes the critics can suck a dick,
Yeah. Well, there have been plenty of times where critics hated a movie and we as fans loved it. Venom's not the only one to hold that title. You could name a lot, not just in superhero films, but in a lot of other genres as well. So just like you said, we got to kind of take it with a little bit of salt there, a little bit of grain of salt. I am holding out hope that it is a case of the critics hate it, but you know what? It's fun. It's nothing that deserves an award in terms of, best performance or, best story or whatever, but it was fun. And sometimes that's all a movie needs to be, because at the end of the day, it's a cape shit flick. I'm not looking to have my mind blown. I'm not looking to come away asking existential questions about my life in the universe and why we're here. I just want to have fun with it. And I want it to also, as a caveat to that, I also want it to be respectful in some way of the source material from which it's drawn from. Those are my only asks.
How do you feel about this?
So The Rock kind of fell off for me after Tooth Fairy.
Oh, wow. That far back, huh?
Yeah.
More of a shape
so,
than
but I mean, I've always liked The Rock. I think there's good potential there. It just seems like his role choices have just been questionable for me. I was going to make a lot of the same points you just made with a lot of the movies that came out. So in the state of DC, with their cinematic universe has kind of been a little bit of a train wreck, to say the least. So for me, it's like, the trailer, didn't get me super hyped for it, but I didn't see the trailer thinking, oh, this is just going to be complete crap. I think it's going to be okay enough, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to, blow the box office away and just have rave reviews. I think it'll just be kind of an average meh superhero movie. And that's kind of what I'm expecting from it. So,
well, sometimes average superhero movies aren't the worst thing in the world. I think what Marvel's done is kind of condition us to expect everything to be a game changer. And in reality, let's go back and look at some of theirs. Yeah, they've had tons of game changers.
Pretty average.
But a lot of theirs, thank you. Most of theirs are pretty average, I'd say.
Yeah, some standouts like Winter Soldier and the first Iron Man.
Civil War.
First Avengers.
We could debate that. The first Avengers film, yes. There may be a handful, you can count on one hand, the number of actual truly standout films. And then the rest are kind of like paint by numbers. Fun, but still nothing special. And sometimes that's okay.
And sometimes it is okay. I don't have a problem with paint by numbers when it's fun. I think where Marvel went off the rails a little for me was with Endgame. They overdid that movie. For me, they tried to come up with something that was so big, and it was just kind of, I don't want to say over the top in a good way. It was just too much. There was too much. It was time travel. It was this. It was that. Everything was on screen thrown at once, and it really wasn't even a good looking finale. It was like
and it didn't live up to the hype. Honestly, it didn't live up to the. Let me rephrase this here. Synapses were firing in my brain at the same time that I was talking. It didn't work. The finale that Endgame did not live up to the cliffhanger that Infinity War was.
I agree with that.
It just
Now,
didn't. And on repeat viewings, it loses its luster very quickly because a
I
lot
have
of it
watched
just
it.
doesn't make sense.
I've only watched it one time.
Yeah, if you watch it even just a second time, because you're critical of film, you've got a critical eye for film, and so you watch it even a second time, and so you're not in the theater with midnight with that midnight release energy, and so there's a bit of there's a bit of hype that gets put into that space that makes you, just whether you're cognizant of or not, enjoy what's on screen more. When you're removed from that a bit, the movie's in a lot of ways just okay, and in a lot of ways not good. At least that's how it was for me, and I've seen it 3 times now. And each time it has lost more of its luster.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Endgame as well. I thought Infinity War was definitely the way better part to that 2-part ending of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I liked that the bad guys won, or the bad guy won. I thought the stakes were higher, and the inevitability of them winning. You know how Thanos was like, "I'm inevitable." Yeah, so was the outcome of the film. So, were you really that surprised? And a lot of that really does affect how I feel going back and watching some of these movies, and that's why I can't overdo watching a lot of them. And like Back to the Future, I won't watch that more than like maybe 5 times a year, which sounds crazy to some people. Like, oh, that's a ton, or oh, that's barely any. But you gotta just keep those things in that sweet spot so they always satisfy the same way every time. You wouldn't eat your favorite meal every day; it'd become boring and stale. So that's how I've treated it. But there's really nothing from Marvel that I can really say lives in that kind of a space. It's all, after the couple notable exceptions we named, everything else is kind of generic.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's see. A lot of people in the chat were talking about how they're tired of The Rock. They're tired of this. Let's see. Yes, folks, smash the like button to let us know, and YouTube know that you're enjoying the show. We greatly appreciate it, and welcome to everybody joining us tonight. The Brewing Sailor says, come to think of it, I can't remember the last MCU film that I watched a second time. That's kind of, I'm in a similar boat. I've only watched a handful of them multiple times, but I guess that's a sign that, you get involved for the hype, and then after the hype dies down, you don't stick around.
See, I'll pretty annually actually rewatch a good chunk of the MCU films from that first 3-phase period. There are a couple that I'll skip. There are a few MCU films that I've only seen once, and I'll keep it that way. But there are a lot that I'll rewatch. I'll rewatch first Iron Man, first Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger, obviously Winter Soldier, excuse me, Infinity War. I actually enjoyed rewatching Thor: Dark World. I just have to tune out my brain every time Natalie Portman's on the screen, because she's actually what drags that movie down. And unfortunately, there was a heavy emphasis on her character, or I put character in quotation marks there. But I'll rewatch quite a few of the first 3 phases of the MCU films, but that's just because I enjoy just sitting back with a drink, having a snack or dinner, and then just throwing on a fun action flick. And I love cape shit, so I'll go to what I know I already enjoy.
I'm going to be pissed because I'm going to start thinking of cape shit from now on and be like, God damn it.
Yeah, I actually just rewatched Winter Soldier just night before last, actually.
That is the best MCU film.
Oh, yeah, I agree, for sure.
And it's not.
I saw it. I think I saw it 3 times. The first Iron Man is
as close as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are speaking truth to me. I love the first Iron Man. It's one of my favorites, and Winter Soldier. So, Captain America: Winter Soldier is probably the most rewatchable in terms of digestibility, because some of them are just so not even grandiose, but even Doctor Strange to me feels a little more of an investment to get through at times, because you got to go through the whole hero's journey and then the secondary stuff with the girlfriend and then the next hero's battle. That's a movie that I find enjoyable, but I don't love.
Doctor Strange 1 is effectively Iron Man 1 with magic. But just the movie overall isn't as good. It's fun still. I actually quite like that movie, but I can see where you're coming from, and then it's not as rewatchable as a couple of the others.
So, while we're on the subject, we got The Rock on screen and everything. Let's say this movie, Black Adam, fails after we've had a really tumultuous 4 to 5 years of DC. Okay, let's not even take it back. Would you say ever since Man of Steel dropped in 2013?
I was about to say, look, we started off with not Superman, so like I don't know. Whatever year that was, we've been on a bad streak with 2 real exceptions, and only one of which I can say I truly, truly love. So Wonder Woman, the first one, and then to be fair, I guess it's kind of a copy and paste of Captain America: First Avenger, if you want to think of it that way, but they did it well. And then Aquaman, and even in that case, I can separate that that's a fun movie and it made a crap ton of money. That's not Aquaman. It's
no.
That's they just turned him into Aquabro, and I'm sorry, that's not Arthur Curry. I think that Jason Momoa, and I'm gonna try to not go on a rant about this. I think that was a wasted casting. They could have brought a live action Lobo and it would have been flawless, but instead they gave us not Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
So, since the DCEU's inception, we can go back and listen to this show. We've talked about most of these movies when they were new. I like Aquaman a lot. That's the one that I considered buying. That's the one I was like, I want to watch again. Wonder Woman's good enough for me to have watched it twice. Once in theaters, once at home. Liked it enough. But like Batman vs. Superman has some great scenes, but is pretty fucking disappointing. Man of Steel, disappointing. Suicide Squad, an embarrassment. Birds of Prey, didn't watch that one. Still not going to watch that one. I really was unpopular opinion, I find Joss Whedon's Justice League easier to digest than most of the DCEU. Now, that's not saying I think it's a better film or even a good film, but when I went and saw it, I sat there thinking, like, I had read all the reviews and all this stuff and watched tons of YouTube content about it, and I get to the very end of the movie where they land in Russia, and I go, when does this get terrible? And, it was just fine. I don't think it's a wonderful movie to buy on home video, but it's better than other movies in the franchise. That's like a weird compliment to give. It's like I'm really picking to try to be positive here.
You're not Birds of Prey. You're not Suicide Squad.
But you're the fucking Justice League. You're supposed to be better. That's the disappointing part.
The fact that DC's been playing catch up with Marvel this entire time is really disappointing and pathetic, because there's no 3 characters that Marvel has in a team setting that stand up to the DC Trinity. And DC they have that layup there. It's sitting there. It's waiting. You've got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And what have you done with it? Fuck all.
Nope. Dude, it could have been the biggest thing ever. It should have been bigger. Because I was going to save this for a little later when we talked or briefly mentioned the Lord of the Rings stuff, because I'm not watching a lot of Amazon shows, but what I am starting to watch is Invincible. And Invincible... I'm only an episode in, but they pulled from the Justice League. Their superheroes are just, the Justice League. And I miss the Justice League being so important and impactful that they're the gold standard of superheroes that even get parodied. The real Justice League is less authentic than the fake version. The Seven are more of the Justice League than the Justice League on film. And DC, man, they have just made historically bad decisions. I wonder if on paper... the history will say, well, the DC film franchise kind of fell apart due to the HBO merger with blah, blah, blah. I wonder if they'll actually take a look from the beginning and go, after decision after decision of poor, bad decisions, it fell apart. Where do you think that will lie in history? Do you think the DC's bad films will be the real reason they're undone and disappear and get rebooted and all this other shit? Or do you think it'll be because of the merger?
I guess it depends on which side of the aisle, as it were, you sit on, because you could spin it one way or the other, really. Like, you're going to have some people in one camp, because it looks like we're going with as far as I'm aware, it looks like we're basically rebooting the DCEU with this Not Flash movie that's supposed to be coming out sometime next year, if Ezra Miller can stay out of jail. We'll see about that. And on the other hand, yeah, they're just on paper removing all other factors. There have just been some really poor decisions. Like you didn't give us what your second movie was Batman versus Superman. And in that movie, you introduce and implement the death of Superman. Like that should have been its whole own thing.
Yep.
And you're telling me we're getting Batman versus Superman and Death of Superman all in one movie, and we still haven't even had a solo Batman movie?
No. We've been in a rush, dude.
Haste makes waste, man.
They wasted an entire franchise.
Yeah.
I agree.
They wasted an IP.
Well, what happens now is since it's been wasted and devalued, you got to think how the audience is going to look at that moving forward. DC movies, DC characters have less value now than ever. I mean, last week we spent a decent amount of time in the opening talking about the importance of Superman and Americana and all that stuff. And DC basically over the last 10 years have set themselves up for really, like, how can a kid become a DC fan over the last decade? The Marvel movies are better. The Marvel brand is stronger. The Marvel cartoons are better. The toys are better. Don't even get me started. Fucking Mattel lost the DC license because they couldn't even produce decent DC toys over the last, 8 years. So DC's been mismanaged. DC's been run poorly. And now the people at the top that have control do dick all with it. I'm not going to be, prognosticator of doom and gloom, but if this goes on for 5 more years down this trajectory, DC's characters are just irredeemably damaged.
And their comic books sell like trash too. So they're just on every single facet of their multimedia branding. They're, I don't know if I'd say dead in the water entirely, but they're barely treading water, if anything, and just as you said, they have wasted a brand. And Zaslav seems like he's making cuts in a lot of good places. But while that's great that you're, cutting these things that are very clearly they have no chance whatsoever of making money. It's like, okay, we're axing that project. But you still have to also, there's another side to that. You also have to put out something that's very good. You can't just get rid of the stuff that's complete dog shit and then be stuck with meh. Like you still have to do the work of putting out something that's really great.
And these movies with these characters shouldn't be meh.
No.
At all.
I should be more excited than any freaking person on the planet for a Flash movie. I could not be the more opposite of that.
Where do you think the Batman in that direction for DC lies in all of this? Because that's another offshoot in a new direction, a reboot, and it's already been put on film. It's struck, it's out there. What do you, where are they going? Are they going to try to do a multiverse refix? Or are they
since Man of Steel 2 is being talked about behind the scenes. And then apparently Batfleck is out and not doing any. So it's complete mismanagement. I don't know where they're going here. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't think they do either, honestly.
It's just like, okay, all right, so you're going to do a Man of Steel 2, but Batman's not going to be there, or Batman's going to be different now. And then we got Black Adam that's coming. I guess he's going to be a part of it. What's going on with Ezra Miller in the Flash movie and Aquaman 2. I mean, I've heard that they're making cuts in that. So it just seems like a complete mess. And
the whole Amber Heard thing sunk that film.
Yeah, and that takes my excitement and hype for a lot of these films completely away. It's like it doesn't seem like anybody over there knows what they're doing with this IP or any of these characters, and it just makes me not even want to invest my time into it.
No,
and I love all these characters. I love DC characters.
Nowadays, the derivative versions of them, like I said earlier, are more interesting. And it sucks because you jump back 20 years on Cartoon Network, you got some of the best representations of the DC characters with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Mm-hmm. And that's a cartoon. DC for however many years, decades straight, 2 decades, everything they put on cartoons or in the cartoon format was a winner outside of the Zeta Project, which wasn't even that terrible.
They
Look, Static
dominated
Shock.
animation.
God, the
Did-
Batman
for a
animated
reason.
series was great.
Still
So was
is.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
I
yeah.
liked it too.
How many spin-offs are, seen in the same or kept in the same conversation as the original? The Spider-Man spin-off, that shitty Spider-Man Unlimited, which is like kind of a spin-off technically from the original one. Nobody looks at that show kindly because it didn't have the quality. Batman Beyond did. They didn't cut corners at DC back then. I know it makes us sound so old. Oh, the age-old time of the 1990s. But no, they really did put effort into all of their stuff, and that's why it sticks around and has the value. They don't see that the long-term effect is starting to catch up to them where, Superman's whatever, he's old, we'll just put anything on film. People don't like that. People are not showing up, and now you have, like I said, almost a decade of apathy towards your characters. You got to have like a game-changing video game or something huge to get people back on board with this stuff. It's got to be something outside of a movie or a comic book to make DC look cool again. Like no actor's going to be able to do it. No movement's going to be able to do it. It's got to be something like huge, and it's got to reach everybody.
Well, yeah, the branding is what's been damaged, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter who you cast in a role if that brand has been irrevocably damaged. And unfortunately, right now we're in a space where DC is in that space. Not that putting out a Black Adam film is in the same conversation as putting out another Superman film, or I should rephrase that, putting out an actual Superman film, because those two characters don't have the same draw, just plain and simple. But your overall brand of DC, people give. I mean, granted, we're also seeing the same thing happen with Marvel right now, where there's a huge stark drop off in viewership, in revenue with that. But still, they have further to fall. It's going to take them longer to get there. DC's already there. And so, just as you said, they need like a massive hit video game that just everybody gets on board with. And I'm telling you guys right now, Gotham Knights ain't it.
From what I've seen, the gameplay and stuff looks okay, but without having Batman as your titular character, I just think that alone's going to hurt it.
Yep. People do not care about Gotham without Batman.
No. The show Gotham was what it was. That was its own thing. That wasn't reaching the same heights as anything that features Batman in it. So I think where businesses are, it's like the power of the brand. I understand how branding works. I went to school for advertising and all this stuff. But like there used to be more than like the brand. It would be like the Superman family of titles, the Batman family of titles. They all kind of stood on their own, and they all were expected to be big and impactful in all of these, all these great positive things. Now they just worry about the one big thing as a whole, and so they kind of populate it with crap nobody likes, but it's part of the DC brand. It's like when I made the video a few months back about the Marvel toys and how, for example, Hasbro only wants to produce certain types of figures. And for example, like Captain America sells like 4-1 to some of these other characters, and Spider-Man will sell like 8 and 10 times to 1. And with the power of branding or the force of branding, these companies are strong-armed into taking lesser characters and shittier stories and all of these things and charged a higher price just because it's part of the brand. And that's where I think we are with a lot of this. If they're focusing on the brand image and they don't worry about the pieces that make the brand. It's just they focus on the whole, and it's shitty.
Yeah.
Well, they've fallen into this trap, and this is exactly it's funny how everything now, video games and animation and movies, is reaching the point where comic books reached in the 2010s, where you think that just because you're slapping the same name and same branding on something, that it's automatically going to have the same draw and have the same power. No, you actually still have to do the work. You can't just throw somebody in a suit, call them Spider-Man, and expect it to make the same money. You might get retweets and likes all day about it on Twitter, but guess what? That doesn't pay the bills. You're still eating your cat's food and not even Friskies. So just look, just as you said, they're not handling the individual characters well. And that's what makes up the DC universe. The DC universe isn't just one character. And you have to do better than just handle one character well. And guess what? At this point, they're not handling any of them well. And that goes for Marvel as well at this point. But all of the pieces are broken right now. And they're trying to hold something together that looks like a complete working thing. And it isn't.
No.
Yeah, I think the one most hyped comic book movie that's even been announced that I'm even halfway interested and hyped about is when the Deadpool 2 movie got announced with Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. Like, I think that's been the biggest hype of any comic book
that's
movie.
Happening.
Yeah, and it's member berries.
Yeah, that's come out here recently. Like, I don't hear a whole lot of hype around too much else other than Deadpool 3.
And I want you to make note of this. There was a lot of hype around Deadpool 3 when they did that little teaser with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. But that was like a week or two ago, and it's kind of been crickets since.
Yeah, they
so while
really
I love
said
both
anything
of
else
those
about
actors, I love them in those roles, and I think that if you had done that movie 5-7 years ago, that it would be just nonstop hype around it. But people are starting to give less of a shit.
Oh God, yeah.
It's sort of like Avatar 2, you know.
Remember that time where James Cameron said he was making like 5 of those movies?
Yeah.
It took him how many years to put out this one? What, 15?
Yep. The
You guys
sale of
aren't
20th
excited for
Century
The Way of the
Fox to
Water?
Disney didn't help either.
Look,
Oh God, no.
I think that Avatar is a gorgeous film to see in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX with my dad when it came out. It looks beautiful on 4K. But outside of that, it's just the movie's fine. It's nothing amazing. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking in terms of the storytelling.
Yeah, I didn't even like it.
I think it's a fine movie, but I don't think it's anything just like, oh my gosh, I need more of this. No, I don't. It was fine. It was a fun sci-fi film. I'm good. Like,
I thought the 3D aspect of it, they did an amazing job on.
it's like the only movie that's had good 3D technology.
It was the one cool thing about that movie. And but yeah, other than that, I was just kind of like, all right, yeah, I saw it. It was all right, but I wasn't, buying it on home video and watching it multiple times. I literally saw it once, and that was it.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I saw it twice in theaters, once with my dad and once with my best friend, and then I own the Blu-ray, and I've probably watched it a couple of times on Blu-ray. I mean, it's a long movie. And usually if I'm going to sit down for that long of a film, I'm probably watching the Lord of the Rings extended editions.
Hell yeah. Have you watched that yet, by the way, Jeff?
Yes. Before the pandemic happened, I actually went to a friend's house out here, and we did the whole Lord of the Rings day. We started with Phil. Obviously, you know how they go in order, but we started at like, what, 8? No. We started at like 10 a.m. We got to his house, and he lives an hour away, so this was a long drive. But we got there. We started around 10, and we took our little breaks, and we made it through every single one. I got them on 4K, so yeah, I own Lord of the Rings on multiple formats. I was thinking about
it then.
I did. The first one, The Fellowship, was my favorite one by a lot. I enjoyed all of them, but my critique of Two Towers was good, and I liked Fellowship or the Return of the King just fine. I thought that one had like they say in Clerks 2, there's so many different endings, and it keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah.
So I was done. I was ready by the time they were over. Like, I am not watching the show because it's the show. I've heard what those people have said about it. But the movies and the book, and I've been even watching the fucking Hobbit cartoon. There's like an animated one that came out in the 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
I watched that.
I like that one quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's my relationship with Lord of the Rings will always be this. I'm late to the party, so what I'm doing with Lord of the Rings is I'm going back and seeing how it influenced the shit I already liked, and so I'm finding that interesting. So obviously Star Wars has got Lord of the Rings influences, but it goes so deep in just general fantasy that I went, oh, I didn't realize Tolkien created that. And so that's where it kind of lives. It's like a fun adventure in the real world versus, fake.
Did you watch the Hobbit movies?
Nope, didn't. I heard they were shit. I was told to
You're
avoid
not
them.
missing out.
Yeah.
The only good and redeemable thing about those movies, aside from the fact that they look pretty, like those look really good on a nice TV. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But you know, pretty visuals does not a great movie make.
Nope.
The only truly redeemable thing about those films that I came away with, and I only actually recently saw the trilogy, maybe 6 months ago. I watched them on HBO Max because I had seen the first one, Hobbit Unexpected Journey, in theaters like opening weekend, and I damn near fell asleep in the film. And so I just, up until just 6 months ago, I didn't even bother with the other two. I was like, I couldn't even get through that one. I can't watch all of them. And I just said, fine, screw it. I can watch them from home now. I'll just do that. I've got HBO Max for free with my phone plan, so I may as well take advantage of the damn thing. And I watched them, and at the end of the trilogy, I was like, Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug was really fucking good. Everything else, forgettable.
Yeah, they weren't that great. I think they're worth
Nice.
watching once,
Mhm.
but that's probably about it.
Well, I let other people's opinions of those films not only dictate if I watched them, but when the box set came out, because I like to get the definitive 4K box sets of a movie. It's kind of like crack to me. Oh, this movie's
Yeah.
out on 4K on Steelbook. I have to own it, even though I own it on Blu-ray Steelbook. It's whatever. When it
Right.
came to Lord of the Rings, I knew that there was going to be the definitive 6-film set, but then there's just the 3 version, and I was like, money is not an issue on this, but I've heard these Hobbit movies suck, so I'm just going to for sure buy the good ones, and I'm not going to take a chance on them no matter how cheap I can get them for the box set. So even then, I have avoided the Hobbits again. If I can rent them from somewhere or stream them in high quality, maybe one day. But I got a lot of other things to watch before I got to go watch that shit.
I'll tell you what formulates my opinion on all live action or video game or any representation and adaptation of Tolkien's Legendarium comes from. I went from reading Dr. Seuss to Chronicles of Narnia to The Hobbit twice by the time I was 9. So I'd read The Hobbit twice by the time I was 9. And then I read the trilogy immediately after that. And I did a book report on the Silmarillion, which is a hard book to get through, even for Tolkien fans. And if you say that it's not, you're a damn liar in the chat. So I have immense respect. Tolkien kind of formed me as a storyteller and as a reader in a lot of ways. And so I look at even the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson trilogy, that gets held up as like one of the best movie trilogies of all time, one of the best adaptations. And it is, but there's still actually a lot wrong with it. But I can...
Yeah, they left a lot out.
I can still enjoy that. And it also just made changes that just wasn't necessary. Like, Aragorn doesn't need to have a beard. He didn't have a beard. He literally can't grow a beard because he's part elf.
See, I didn't pay close enough attention to that stuff.
Yeah, that you only really know if you're paying super close attention to the books. And I get that Viggo Mortensen looks really weird without a beard. Like, he's got a funny looking face. But with a beard, it's like, all right, decent looking guy. But without the beard, you're like, oh. What Elvis princess wants that?
Well, dude, that's why that movie he's in, Green Book, I was like, wait, that's the guy from Lord of the Rings? It took me a second to realize it was him.
Also, History of Violence.
Yeah, I would have loved if we would have got the scouring of the Shire, Starkey and stuff. You know, they left all that out. That would have been cool to see.
Well, I'll stay away from the that version of Lord of the Rings for a minute, but if I ever do venture down that path, I'll document it here on the channel. Now, I want to check in with the audience because we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. So, Nick, do me a favor. Pick a number between 1 and 69.
Ooh, 32.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last?
That's right, Major. You did.
I lied.
Oh, Commando. Such a fun movie.
Where do you rank it in terms of Schwarzenegger's best?
Oh, Schwarzenegger's best movies. Commando, I'd have to put... God, I'd probably put it in my top 5.
Good man.
Definitely
You're a
in
man
my
who knows
top
his
five.
Schwarzenegger flicks.
Yeah.
Caffeinated Wolf, what about you, man?
See, I've only seen probably just over a half dozen of Schwarzenegger's flicks, but I can put that one in my top 5 of the ones that I've seen easily
All right,
enough.
cool. Then we're all on board.
But it's not above Terminator 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
No.
Or Predator 1
Yeah. No.
or Jingle All the Way.
I put it above Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is amazing. I love that movie.
I like Jingle
I have a
All the
Turbo
Way,
Man
but-
doll.
You do have a Turbo Man, but not Booster, right? Nobody wants Booster.
Nobody wants Booster. No, Booster sucked.
We don't want him.
So, Jiggle All the Way, random detour for a quick second. That's going to always be a personal favorite Christmas movie because it reminds me of the Christmas in the 90s with the Power Rangers, how you couldn't find a Power Ranger toy anywhere. That whole the whole hysteria of Jingle All the Way is based on that. And it just reminds me of being a kid. Yeah, Jake Lloyd's annoying as shit talking about Turbo Man every 5 seconds, but you got Phil Hartman as the skeezy neighbor. Like,
He was great in that movie.
yeah, he really
He
is
was.
awesome.
You definitely wanted to punch him in the mouth.
I don't know where I like him more there or Small Soldiers, because he's an equally douchey character in both films.
Yeah, when Jingle All the Way came out, I was in high school, so I'd kind of moved away from the more kiddie movies, and I hated when Schwarzenegger kind of made that switch to doing like Jingle All the Way, Kindergarten Cop, especially at that point in my life at that age. I was like, oh man, when are we do another Predator, do another Commando movie, like do another Conan,
Dude,
But I didn't hate those movies.
I would have loved to have seen a Conan the Well, because Conan the Destroyer is rated PG and very tame. So if they were going to go back to R-rated Conan, you could have signed me up like King Conan or something as an older, more grizzled version. But he got lamer. Not he got lamer, excuse me. The films got more sanitized as they moved on. Did you guys like the one with Momoa that came out a couple years back?
No,
I saw it.
I did not. Momoa even says that movie was crap.
It's been forever since I've seen it, dude. I couldn't even tell you. I know Ron Perlman's in it as well, and that's about it.
Yeah, it was not good. Did not live up to the OG Schwarzenegger Conan movies at all.
Hard to in today's climate, or even their 2010s climate.
Oh yeah.
So, Mary Mayhem says, "Have a great stream." We will, Mary. We'll have you on real soon. I'll be talking to you, Mary. S.A. Troubles 08 says, Buffalo Jeff and Buffalo Andrew walk into a bar. Sorry, guys. That bar is now dead. Speaking of serial killers, have you guys watched Dahmer at all?
No.
I'm
I'm not a freaking middle-aged white woman. I don't get into those kind of shows.
I have a friend of mine that lives in Seattle that I'm on up to help her move here in a couple of weeks, but she watched it, she binged it and was like, oh my god, you got to watch this show, it's so good. I have not seen it yet, but there's been a lot of talk about it, and it seems to have gotten, for the most part from what I've seen, a lot of people seem to like it, which is kind of odd, but I haven't seen it yet either. So
Yeah,
You know
I've heard pretty
why?
positive things. It just doesn't interest me.
Well, I watched it, and there is quality, but I think the reason why a lot of people like it is because they make Jeffrey Dahmer kind of likable and kind of sympathetic, and they don't show him as a monster. They don't really show him do the crimes or do the messed up stuff. Like, there's a couple scenes where he's like naked on top of a body in a flashback, and then you see him like take people in or like go to attack them or be kind of scary, but like you never see him really, really, really do these things. You hear them. The woman, his neighbor, is looking at her vent. She can smell the dead bodies through the vents, and she can hear when he kills people and cuts them up, according to this dramatization. But like, again, you just see Jeffrey Dahmer as a kid. You see him get beat up. You see him. They even make him sympathetic in prison, because I don't like Jeffrey Dahmer, real life serial killers, But I just remembered that story because I was a little kid when he went to jail. I remember that story very vividly. And so that was the first one that stuck with me. And I looked into it, years later about how he was killed in prison. And they over dramatize it. They try to make him out to be like, put it like this: Dahmer was hit from behind and he then beat to death. He made no sound according to the official records. This show, he gets talking to about Jesus and God and all this stuff. And it really... It's like a good drama, but for God's sakes, show the serial killer, be the fucking serial killer. Don't make him likable. Don't try to make him and his dad have these moments. Like, the whole thing is like they're trying to paint the narrative of the police are the reason why Jeffrey Dahmer was able to do this, and this is a story of, racial inequality and racial this. Like, they're trying to paint it as that kind of story for today's ridiculous generation.
Oh, jeez.
And, when you look back on the stuff, the police clearly dropped the ball. Like, letting that little kid get taken back into Jeffrey Dahmer's custody and all of this stuff. Yeah, 100%. But, like, they try to paint everybody in this, like, weird light of, like, if you're against the cops, you're somehow a hero, including the Dahmers. Like, his parents, they try to... Just don't watch it if you're not into this stuff. But if you did watch it, I just want to have a conversation with people who did. Like, were you as conflicted as I was about a show that's supposed to be painting this portrait of the worst serial killer, one of the worst serial killers in American history, maybe even the world, and they make him out to be this likable guy, and what the fuck was the point of this? I don't know. I digress, folks.
I was wondering how much they were going to get into. I actually wanted to watch it just out of curiosity, how much they were going to get into his life once he was in prison, because I saw a documentary. It was a couple of years ago, several years ago, about his conversion to Christianity in prison, and I guess they touch on that in the show and stuff. But it was kind of interesting, the documentary on kind of what he turned into and the changes he made to himself while he was in prison. So I was curious how much they were going to get into that in the show.
I was just reading some of the comments. I didn't say Jeffrey Dahmer was the absolute worst. I know Ed Gein has his stuff, but Jeffrey Dahmer's up there too. Are you going to throw in the John Wayne Gacy because he had a higher body count? I'd say whoever's crimes, like Ed Gein's, are the grisliest will always be remembered. And Dahmer and his zombies... way scarier than what's his face, John Wayne Gacy and his weird boy fetish. I don't know. When I first discovered what Wikipedia is, I accidentally went down the rabbit hole of like murders and crimes and shit. And so like my first day on Wikipedia was like really weird dark shit and like Nickelodeon. I was like, wow, this Wikipedia site's got everything. I'm gonna read it all.
That's quite the spectrum there.
Yeah.
Charles Manson, he was always the weirdest one to me. The creepiest out of all of them. Like his
Who was?
Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah, the Manson family. He's from Cincinnati, which makes me kind of sad to be saying that out loud.
Wow, really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
The Manson stuff, like the Tate LaBianca murders, I remember watching the E True Hollywood story of that, as a child, and I was like, ooh, this is, weird. And then, you see it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's one of those stories that is just kind of stayed around forever,
Mm-hmm. When I first watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when it got to the end there, I was like, man, when he murders that pregnant woman, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this. And so the movie was going, and I was like, oh, I know it's coming. And it never came. It was the craziest twist, to a actual true story that they didn't actually tell the actual true story on. But that was an epic, crazy ending at the end of that movie.
Oh, dude, it was. I went to Tarantino's theater not that long ago, the New Beverly, but I didn't realize it was that he owned a movie theater. And so you go in there, and they got like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood pins and the novel and this little Quentin Tarantino doll, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he owns the place." So, folks, if you ever want to see what Quentin Tarantino's movie theater looks like, check it out. His popcorn uses real butter. It's pretty good.
Is that in L.A.?
Yeah, it's called the New Beverly Cinema. It's technically it's in LA. I don't know exactly West Hollywood. No, is it in Hollywood? It's somewhere in Hollywood. So if you're ever out this way, check it out. Maybe when we have our WrestleMania meetup, folks, which will be next year, March 30th, 31st, and then April 1st and 2nd for WrestleMania. Be listening to the podcast if you want to know more about that. Maybe we'll take a group tour down there. Maybe we'll all go catch a movie together or something. By the way, folks, we're in the final days of the Tits and Art campaign. We have, 5 days left, so we'll be closing it out. We're over 711% of the way past the goal, so that's exciting. And I'd like to get to 1,000% past the goal. Why not? Let's dream big. We're already 7/10 of the way there, so why not? But I've been updating the campaign. I've been sharing images. Check it out right now. That book is only $20 because, well, I know how tough shit is right now, and I wanted to give you guys something beautiful to look at right now. So that'll be out later this year, and titsandart.com. We'll be telling you more about that throughout the show. But back to the audience. Wonder, thank you very much, says, if the DCAU were to cast Jason Momoa as Lobo while still having him as Aquaman, do you think anyone would really care?
I'd like a recast of Aquaman, personally. Like, give me Arthur Curry. Specifically, give me Jeff Johns' run in the New 52, one of, 3 good books, at least for the first 3 or 4 volumes of that entire launch era. Give me that Arthur Curry, because he was a badass.
With Hook Hand, yeah, I'm down.
No, not Hook Hand Aquaman. That was a weird time,
dude. That was like the Aquaman I grew up with. Not that it's my favorite, but that's like what he was going through in the book when I first picked it up. And there's a reason why I didn't get into Aquaman until the New 52, because he just, what was he doing of note between, let's say, 1995 and 2010 or 11?
Nothing.
Not very much. It's such a huge window of time to not have a character be utilized. But, folks, you're going to have a couple more years.
Nobody seemed to know how to use them.
Well, you had to change him completely to get people to like him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point. It's like, oh, hey, we got somebody that's we'll call him Aquaman in name only. That'll work, right? Hey, women went and saw it. Everybody went and saw it. So it made $1 billion. It fucking worked. So, let's continue on here. We have Drew with Comics Elite who says, seeing Black Adam Thursday, hoping for the best. Well, I hope the best happens for you, man. But congratulations, man, on the success of your book. Folks, check out Born of Blood. That's our buddy Drew. He's been on the channel a couple of times. So congratulations to you, my man. Wander, thank you very much, says, once upon a time there was credit to give, but now they're really twisting my hand. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the brand. I like it. Isn't that song about vampires?
I think so.
Never, anytime I hear it, I think of the Dan Band. So, I say Triples 08 has one more, and then we'll get back to the show. He says, I'll take a Joe Rogan motorcycle and a message, please. Well, ask and you shall receive here on World Class Bullshitters. So first off, you asked for this.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
And one
never gets
Message! Message! Message!
You know, to your point about the motorcycle, I have this program that I use that can edit stuff for you. And when I put the motorcycle stuff in, no matter what I added with it, it always made sure that the crash was part of it. So even computers understand how awesome that crash is.
Wow.
It's amazing. Quick aside, I'll spend several hours late into the night and early morning with a few of my buddies in Discord, just binge watching compilation videos of crashes and people doing dumb shit and paying for it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just part of having a Y chromosome that I just find that shit hysterical and I eat it up.
I do too. It always gets me. By the way, Cesario Japan, I am looking through the back room version of the Super Chat stuff. I didn't see anything from you pop up on this show, so I will be on the lookout for that, man. But I've gone back to last week's episode of the podcast proper, and I see you earlier in that one, but I haven't seen anything new. So just to give you a heads up, if you want to send me a regular message to tell me what it said, go ahead. Dade Lee Murphy did send this one in, and it's very temporal. He says, was it just me or did Evan Peters get really ripped for Dahmer's role? No homo. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer looked like that. I guess you had to, match that. It's weird, too, how, according to the show at least, how Dahmer would get away with his shit by saying, it's just guy-on-guy stuff. And, like, people were so afraid of what that meant that he got away with so much as well. It was one of those shows, honestly. The more you think about it, it was one of those shows. But yeah, he did get ripped for the role. Life imitates art, so you gotta make yourself look like the character. But I don't think his voice worked. He sounded like Joe Pera from the Joe Pera Talks at You series on Adult Swim. So every time he tried to be scary, I just laughed. I'm like, oh, Joe Pera, you're not offensive at all.
And when you look at old Dahmer courtroom video, he looked like a skinny beanpole.
Yeah, I just think of the ones when he looked kind of chunky when he was on, like, what was that show? Inside Edition, one of the, like, famous interviews.
Later on, after he'd been in prison for a little while.
Yeah. Now I'm looking up real photos. Yeah, he was a skinny-looking weird guy. Asshole. Who misses Jeffrey Dahmer? Nobody.
that should be nobody.
Yeah.
That number should be precisely 0.
Well, you ever like talk shit about someone, but deep down you pull back a little bit because you're like, they're still a person. Jeffrey Dahmer is one of those people. Before the show ever came out, he was always my like he was just like somebody I would randomly talk shit about just as a joke, and you could never feel bad because you could say the most heinous, offensive things about the guy, and they're true. He deserved it.
because he was a piece of shit.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I'm glad he's dead. And I don't think about it often, but when I do, I'm glad he's dead. I didn't realize how many different shows there were about this motherfucker, though. Like, there's one called, like, My Friend Dahmer, where it's like a fictionalized version of his childhood.
What the hell?
Wow,
That's
I
weird,
have
too.
not heard of that.
You gotta be a really weird person to want to write that.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. It's out there. I'm done with Jeffrey Dahmer. It's Halloween, though. Look, I had to just get something to get the Halloween ends taste out of my mouth. Folks, I've written the review of that. Oh, wait, that was that was not intentional. I'm sorry, folks. No, seriously, though, that Halloween movie, man, Halloween Ends was so fucking terrible. Like,
I watched it this last weekend. Oh,
what'd you think?
Oh, it was bad. It was so. I'm like, is this a Michael Myers movie? Like, Michael Myers is a side character in his own film that's supposed to be the last one with him. I'm like, what the fuck is this? By the time it got to the end, I was just like, come on, really? It does not even come close to capturing the classics. The first one, the second one, the fourth one, the fifth one.
I like the third one.
Silver
I've only
Shamrock.
ever seen the first one.
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times, but I've only ever seen the first.
Don't watch any other ones because the beauty of the first Halloween film is Michael Myers gets shot out the window and Dr. Loomis goes to look at him and he's gone. Evil could be anywhere. And that's why they do those awesome shots of the last known places that Michael Myers visited, and then it just ends. They should have never made another one. Halloween is like, it should have been like, well, fuck, they made multiple Jaws. They should have only made one Jaws film as well. You can't really tell those monster stories more than once.
No, it loses its luster. I think one of the few exceptions to that, if not like the only one, is the second Alien movie, so Aliens. And it's because they went a completely different direction with it.
And the second Terminator was a great sequel.
And the second Terminator because T2 is the best. But I think with Aliens, they probably realized, we can't really have the creepy factor again because people know what the thing looks like now. We know what it can do. So now we have to come at this from a different angle and get people to still like it. And people overwhelmingly did.
Yeah.
I actually met John Carpenter. He talks so much shit about all those sequels.
Good.
It's funny.
Yeah, because he only did the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the writing for it, yeah.
because he wrote the second one, directed the first one, and gets credited on a lot of them. And I think he did the music for the last 3 with his son-in-law or something like that.
I didn't realize. I only found out just the other night that Halloween. I think it was Halloween Kills had a flashback with another actor playing Dr. Loomis that looked and sounded just like him. Did you guys see that one? I haven't seen that one. Yeah, was it worth watching?
Okay, so last year I would have told you that Halloween Kills was the worst Halloween movie.
Okay.
This year I'm going to tell you Halloween Ends is the worst Halloween movie, and it's not about
Okay,
being
yeah,
a
because
purist
Ends
for
was
me.
pretty bad.
Dude. I shit you not, they say this phrase in Halloween Kills: "Evil dies tonight," 42 times in the movie. That's like the theme. It's a continuation of the 2018 one. No, it's not a continuation. Yeah, it is, because it picks up directly after Michael Myers. The burning house. He like breaks out of the burning house, chops up a lot of firefighters, and goes and terrorizes a town. Like, look, it's a traditional Halloween movie. It's pretty dumb, but the kills are gnarly. If you want to watch a Halloween movie that has like maybe some of the bloodiest, nastiest kills, that one. Like the doctor that got stabbed through the eyeball was pretty gnarly. There's one scene where Michael Myers is fighting somebody in a car, and this woman has a gun pointed at Michael Myers. Michael Myers kicks the door hits the woman, and she shoots herself in the fucking face and falls over and dies. Because she's like a Desert Eagle. There's this like tiny ass woman dressed as a nurse. She's like, get out, and boom, she shoots herself in the face. It's golden.
Wow.
That might be worth watching the movie for alone. Like, seriously, I think you'll like it.
Huh. Was the Dr. Loomis flashback scene done well?
Yeah, you won't even know. If you pay close attention, you can see that it's a different actor, but if you don't really try to look at it, if you like watch it as a normal person, you'll think it's Donald Pleasance. What it is, Nick, is it's a flashback to how Michael Myers gets caught. Because remember, this new series reboots the original one. The way it works in the original series is he gets shot out the window, and then he walks down the street, and he takes the old lady's knife, and then he goes and he starts killing people on his way to the hospital. And then it's where he finds Laurie, and then they blow him up.
Oh, okay.
new
So that's why
timeline-
her son from H2O never shows up again.
Exactly.
Okay,
they
because when I was
retconned all
watching
that.
it this past weekend, I'm like, whatever happened to her son? Like Josh Hartnett. Like, I haven't seen him in any. Where's he at? She's talking about her daughter. So, all right, that makes sense. I didn't know that it was rebooted.
Oh, dude, it's been rebooted 3 times, because remember the daughter from Halloween 4 and 5, the one that Jamie Lee Curtis used to have? She doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, the little girl in the clown costume.
Yep. Yeah, Jamie Lloyd, she is no longer a part of, like, that's, if you want to complain about Star Wars timeline, the Halloween timeline's really broken. So check out the video, folks. It will
No wonder so many of these movies didn't make sense. I never realized it was actually rebooted that many times.
Oh god, yeah. The first time it was rebooted to remove Halloween 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then it was just a full reboot with Rob Zombie. Then 2018 is a reboot of Halloween, but it undoes the franchise and it just goes Halloween 1, Halloween 2018, and then the new ones. So
Yeah, the Rob Zombie one, it got a lot of crap, but I actually didn't mind it. I don't know what y'all's thoughts were on it, but I didn't hate it.
until I saw Halloween Ends, Rob Zombie Halloween 2 was maybe my least favorite. See, remember,
I never saw the
rephrase-
second one.
Oh, don't. You're lucky,
Yeah, I
because the
never
first
saw
one ain't
it.
that bad.
Yeah, I just saw the first one. I heard too much shit about the second one, and I skipped it.
Yeah, if you hate look, I don't hate Rob Zombie music. I don't like his movies though, and I don't think his Halloween 2 is worth watching at all.
Okay.
By the way, in the chat, somebody asked about last week's High Council getting pulled. Yeah, it was due to a WWE copy strike, the same reason that the podcast got pulled. I guess one of the clips were shown, which I'm going to have to figure out exactly which one does not press it anymore. That is the sole reason. I don't take down streams because I have reasons for it. It's like, look, we say what we say on air. Everyone already heard it, so it's public. There's nothing secretive. It's just that. YouTube's getting crazier with their copy protection stuff. Luckily, those aren't,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
are.
big strikes and stuff, but they do take down your video instantly. So that's why we say watch us live, folks. It's not just a hype measure. Honestly, sometimes it's going to be the only way you'll ever be able to find us, because YouTube. Oh, you said the words WWE. Now it's copywritten. Thanks, Vince McMahon. Also, too, since our friend Cesare Japan requested this as well.
What the hell did I just see? What was
that's
that?
That's part 2. See, on the podcast proper, my friend Dion is afraid of horses. Like, it's a stupid fear, and he's like next level afraid.
Oh, I've heard you
It's
talk
not like,
about this before.
yeah, we were down in
fear.
New Orleans. He crossed the street to get away from the horses or anything like that. So that's how. I'll TLJ Screwjob. I didn't think it was that at all. I just wanted to give the full explanation because I'm pissed. You know, we do the work, we put in the time, and then the WWE's Autobot says, "Hey, you stole copyright content." No, we didn't. That's why. But yeah, Dion is definitely afraid of horses, and so we just love to troll him. And I found those videos. There's a part 1. I'm not gonna play it right now. Maybe somebody will request it later. Where this guy goes, "Who are you? And what have you done with my horses?" And then these women turn around and they're horse ladies. And then there's another ghost horse video as well. So it's all to
Has
troll my
anyone tried
friends.
pulling the prank of the horse head in the bed when he's asleep?
I don't want him to have a heart attack. All right.
If you ever do go that far, make sure you get it on video.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
for sure.
I will go that far one day, but I want to do it a little. Okay, there's one other fear to get Dion with, and it's his fear of mannequins. So what I would love to do is like go up to visit, but not tell him, just his family. And so they all go out to dinner, and then Dion walks into the apartment like when they're all still at like basically have him wait in the car. Dion goes into the apartment and have like a mannequin of Dion waiting for him on the couch, because I would love to see the expression on his face when he like sits down or walks in a room and then there he is looking at himself. He will scream. Now,
I bet
what
he
I would-
will freak out.
now, if I had full cooperation and full ability, what I would do is I would wait till they all go to bed. Then what I would do is I would set up the whole living room with mannequins that look like his family, and then I would turn on the TV and video games very loud, so he would get pissed off that it's so loud, and then he would get up and go, "What the fuck is that?" And they would all be mannequins, and I would want to see. He might die from that one, honestly. That might kill my best friend, but it would be fucking hilarious to just watch him go, "Oh
What a
god!"
way to go out. Killed by best friend prank.
Yes, but
That's
you
not
don't
even
you
a
don't tell
jackass
the-
level prank either.
No, look. If I'm gonna scare somebody or troll somebody, I'm gonna go to the next level. So, that's just a sign that I care.
I've pulled some pretty hardcore pranks back in the day that were pretty awesome.
What would you say your best one was?
So my best one was I had one of my best friends at the time in high school thinking that I'd gotten into witchcraft and that I was able to cast spells and do this stuff. And I had so many people in the school involved in it, and he was the only one that didn't know. And like I was telling him that like there's this girl Andrea she was like the hot chick in the school, and I was like, man, I'm really wanting to date her, but her and this guy Warren that like they're dating. Like, well, I did this spell that they'd break up, and so I was telling her and him about it, and so we were going to lunch, and he was like, so how things going with you and Warren? And she's like, oh, I just woke up this morning and I just don't like him anymore. I broke up with him today. And he just started flipping out. And then he was walking home and I was talking about animal sacrifices and stuff. And this was not planned by me, but it just happened to like go along with the prank. He passes a dead bird on the street. And I told him that I had sacrificed a bird. And so he was freaking out over that. And so then I was telling him about this imp. The final thing, the final prank before we were going to reveal it was all a prank was, so I told him that I'd like summoned this imp and that he could teleport and stuff. And I told him I was gonna have him come talk to his younger brother, but he was nice and stuff. And he started freaking out on the dude. Stop it! Like, what are you doing? Don't do that, And so there's this clown doll that my sister had that he's like freaked out over. Well, I got his family to put that clown doll in his closet, and I told him I got this imp to send him a present. And for him to go open his closet, he opened the closet and that fucking clown was in there. And he tripped out. Like, he was like, don't stay away from me. Stay away from my family. Don't ever talk to me. Like, he was flipping out. And then everybody let him know that it was just a prank. But there was like everybody in the school involved in it. And he was like tripping balls. It was epic.
Wow,
Dude.
That's pretty involved.
Yeah.
What about you, Wolf? Anything?
Nah, I was never much of a prankster. The worst thing I did on my street was one of my buddies that I had growing up. We just freaking prank called. What was it? It was one of the local pizza places, and like ordered like a few large pizzas for his next door neighbor. And they go there. They can't leave with the pizzas, right? They're not allowed to do that. So it's like, well, they just gave them the pizzas, which now being an adult, I understand that was pretty messed up, and I kind of feel bad for that poor delivery kid. But I was in middle school. What the hell did I know at the time? I was a dumb kid. But the sweet part of the deal was that the neighbor came over to my buddy's house, was like, hey, so I just got these extra pizzas. You want one? We were like, hell yeah.
Win. I don't know if I've ever told this story on air, but I once convinced somebody that I worked for the television show Cheaters, and like they were scared that they were being monitored by the television show Cheaters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I guess they were a cheater.
I think so. The thing is, they had to have had a guilty conscience if I was able to convince them of this shit, because I worked at rallies back in the day, and there was this guy. The thing is, I had access to the computer because you were supposed to clock in and out, and the computer didn't have a password, and it was just Windows. So I'd go in and look at the programs because I was bored, and I figured out, where all the employee stuff was and all their numbers. So I got the one guy's number that I worked with. He was not really my friend, but I didn't dislike him. And I called him on the phone. I was like, is this so-and-so? And I'm like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, this is so-and-so from Cheaters. We were at your store looking for you. We needed to talk. And so he was like, no, blah, 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 and hung up. And he thought that was the end of it. So then what I would start to do is I would call the store when I was when I wasn't working and he wasn't working as Cheaters. So I'd call the other employees to make them think that they were getting phone calls from Cheaters as well. And so then they started to talk to each other, and they all thought Cheaters was coming up to the store. They thought that this van that drove through regularly was the Cheaters van trying to film this guy. It was golden. He quit that job, and then I never saw him again. But yeah, I never told him. Nobody at the store ever found out that it was a big hoax. Cheaters never showed up. Cheaters didn't care.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was fun.
I wonder if he stopped cheating, if he was cheating.
He better have.
Yeah.
It was like a sign from above. The Brewing Sailor says Cheaters actually filmed at my brewery last year. Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
Did anyone get stabbed?
Jeez.
So, Nick, Echo Base Network, you said you're a Star Wars channel. Are you watching Andor? Have you committed, or are you just not able to?
No, well, I mean, it's Star Wars, and we're a Star Wars channel, so we pretty much have to watch this stuff. Coach me and Coach were both all the way up through the first 5 episodes like, this is boring, this sucks, this is not Star Wars. And then episode 6 was definitely the best episode of the series, but it's still not Star Wars. It's still boring. I still don't care about the characters. I couldn't even tell you, like, there was I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that wants to watch it in chat, but there were some characters that died in this last episode. I couldn't even tell you what their names are because it's so forgettable.
Oh, wow, cared that much, huh?
Yeah, there's like no rewatchability. Like, if I had to go rewatch the first 5 episodes, it would be like if you played like a Final Fantasy game and got hours and hours into it and your game got deleted and you had to start over. Like you just wouldn't start over.
Oh my God. Quick aside on that. My high school girlfriend came over to my house one day and brought her memory card. She was going to play Final Fantasy X just on my TV. And she accidentally saved over my file that had, I was like 70 something odd hours into the game. And I got up. She didn't do it. It wasn't malicious or anything.
Yeah,
but it was
accident.
A simple accident, whether it was careless or whatever. It happened. That sucked. I had to get up and leave the room though, because I was like, oh my God, I've spent so many hours in this game already. But what I did was once she left, I don't think I slept for a few days. It's probably why I was a little groggy at track practice. And so I got not only back to where I was, but further, and I was higher leveled.
Wow. Yeah, that's sort of like the best way I could describe having to try to watch back through the first 5 episodes of Andor. Like everybody's like, oh, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. Like I've seen slow burns. Like this is like a
slow burn can still be good.
Yeah, it's like slower than slow, like a snail pace slow burn. Like it's just not. I don't know if it's just me being jaded with Disney Star Wars, or if I'm actually just don't like the show. Like I have a hard time kind of, going back and forth between the reason why, but I just don't care. But the thing is, like with the end of Mando season 2, like I really liked the return of Luke. Like and it wasn't well received by everybody, but the vast majority of people really liked that final episode of Andor season 2. And with Andor, it's like from what I'm seeing, there's not a lot of hype for it, but there's not a lot of trashing it either. And I think that comes down to nobody fucking cares about Andor or these characters.
Well, I'll tell you exactly
nobody
why.
cares. It's not like it's Obi-Wan or Boba Fett, like a legacy character. This is a Disney created character. So if they screw this up, nobody's really going to care. And if it's great, also probably not a whole lot of people are going to really care. So it's just kind of like a throwaway show. But there seem to be a lot of people that seem to enjoy it. I just happen to not be one of those people. I mean, I don't hate it like I hated Book of Boba Fett or the Kenobi show. Like I despise both of those shows. Like I'll never watch them again, and I'll never watch this show again after this one watch through. But I'm not watching it getting pissed off at the screen as the episode's going. Like I did with Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, because I don't care about these characters. So when they do something stupid, I'm like, God, that's dumb. This isn't Star Wars, and there's so many heist movies and shows that have done it better. I will say the visuals, the cinematography, the acting, all that's fine. They don't have a lot of stupid, comedic, dumb, jokey stuff in it. It's a pretty serious type show. So I'm glad that they don't got a lot of that dumb nonsense in it, because they would probably just make it worse. So it has some bit of redeeming qualities to the show, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's just not Star Wars. And I just don't really care about it. But I am watching it. We're halfway through. We got 6 episodes left. We'll see where it goes from here. But that's kind of where I'm at on it right now.
Wait, we're halfway through the first season already?
Yeah, there's 12 episodes in this first season. And I think they're only doing 2 seasons.
I knew the season count was 2, but the reason I had stayed so positive is I thought we were this was gonna be 22 episodes. I'm like, all right, it's super slow, but we're gonna build to something huge. We're halfway through the fucking shit. We're a quarter of the way through the entire series. That's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be 2 seasons, 24 episodes total. and then each season consists of 12 episodes. So we're halfway through season 1 of the first 12 episodes.
See, I have not wasted any of my time on the show, and I'll tell you why. And it will also tie into why nobody's really talking about it much, positive or negative, because nobody cares. Because this is a character that was introduced in a movie that there were no stakes really for the characters. We knew everybody was going to die, so nobody got attached, so nobody gave a shit. Also, none of the characters were particularly likable enough to where that would really get changed during that, whatever it was, 2-hour runtime. The only thing anybody positively remembers about that movie, about Rogue One, was Darth Vader cutting fools down at the end. So that was like 30 seconds of memorable content, and then nobody cares. Like, I watched that movie once in theaters, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. If I want to see the Vader scene again, I'll just like go up on YouTube and type in Rogue One Vader scene, and that's really all I need.
And I liked in Rogue One how they put the pilots from A New Hope in there too. I thought that was cool in the space battle. But yeah, I think the show would probably be better if they would have just called it Star Wars Rebellion, and just because I'm more interested in the story of the rising of the rebellion against the Empire. Like, that story I think could be told in an interesting way. Instead of calling it Andor and putting the focus on Andor, a throwaway character that dies at the end of Rogue One that not a whole lot of people really liked to begin with or really care about. If they would have just done the show called Rebellion and he was just happened to be a part of it, instead of focusing the show around him and his character, I just think that's a bad decision on their part.
Yep.
I don't disagree.
Exactly right.
Like I said, I'm a little more angry that I realized how deep we are into the show, because not a lot had happened, but I thought, I'll be optimistic. No. I don't necessarily want to stay up and watch this show tonight. I don't necessarily want to review it anymore. I kind of feel trapped because we got half the reviews up. You can't just quit in the middle. Yeah. But it's like, who really gives a shit? I'll put them out when I get to them. I'm going to focus on the G4 video and the other shit, the stuff that people care about. Nick, we're not a Star Wars channel like you guys are, but we definitely have our foot in Star Wars, clearly. I'd say it's 50% of what we've done so far. And, I did feel the obligation to check it out and do this stuff, but it's hard to care either way. Like, nothing is offensive, but man, like, the characters, they all just died so abruptly in the last episode. And I get it. You're not supposed to be with these characters forever, but could they at least shoot it like you care? When that director guy or whoever's the evil Empire dude, the captain, he just got shot and fell down. They didn't even show him close up. It was from a far away shot. You'd think the traitor would get a little more screen time in his death. No, they built it up like it was going to be a lot of something, and then the execution was very lame. So, yeah, I agree. It's just and me and Coach, we were getting up at 2 a.m. to watch it. We did for the first 3 episodes that dropped, but after the suffering through the first 3 episodes, we're like, fuck this. We're not getting up, because he's got school the next morning. So he's literally gets a couple hours of sleep, gets up, has to record, and then try to go back to sleep for another hour or 2, and then go teach school all day. And so I was like, dude, we can go ahead and just wait and do it Wednesday night, because I don't care about staying up and watching it right when it drops either. We'll just watch it and do our review, put our Patreon video up, and then do our review discussion and throw it up on the channel on YouTube Wednesday night. So that's fine.
The content's not worth it.
Yeah.
No.
Can't justify that. Get your sleep.
Yeah. Now, when Mando season 3 comes out, we probably will get up and do it early in the morning. But for this show so far, it just doesn't justify getting up that early in the middle of the night to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And if Mando season 3 turns out after the first couple of episodes to be boring and dumb and stupid, then we'll probably go back to doing it on Wednesday nights too.
Well, this is what they wanted for the Star Wars brand. They wanted to get it on Disney Plus. They wanted to get everything on Disney Plus. It really, I never thought it would be this much of a lesser product because it's on the streaming services. For as much as I shit on Netflix, Stranger Things feels like it belongs alongside any cinematic thing when you see the effects and the CGI and all that fun stuff.
Oh, it's great.
This just all is so much lesser than what you get on the big screen, the mainstream stuff. And it sucks because that's Star Wars is just generic. Like all the stuff is now based off these characters, which it makes sense, but like I don't know, it's so much smaller in scope and scale. And it wasn't inevitable.
Very cookie cutter, copy paste,
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it's necessarily the issue of the scope and the scale that drags down the quality and the level of interest, because you can tell some far tighter stories that are a little more closed-ended within the Star Wars universe, and you can do those well. There are a lot of EU novels in the old Legends canon that are like that. Some smaller comic book arcs. Some of the video games exist kind of in a vacuum. And they're really, but that's because there's quality there, and you can tell there's effort put into the characters, and there's a balance that's like, okay, we have this period of time to work with in which we're going to tell this story. So we need to make sure that we're hitting our beats when we need to be, and actually make sure that this arc feels completed. And that takes work, that takes effort, that takes talent to be able to do that within the confines of X amount of time, X amount of space. Not everybody can do that. And clearly none of the people that they have in charge of these shows, outside and removed from all the other issues of them, ideologues or just not fans, and obviously not fans skirting around canon, playing fast and loose with canon because they don't know any of it and they don't care even if they did. You have to have effort there.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing that's missing is, like, even with the sequel trilogy, which was just hot garbage from start to finish, when those movies would come out, it was a big event. Like, even a big event to just shit on it because everybody knew it was getting worse and it was just going to be garbage. But, when those movies would drop, it was a big event. Like when Andor dropped, like it wasn't a big, huge event. When this Tales of the Jedi animated show drops, it's not going to be a big event. When Bad Batch season 2 drops, it's not going to be a big event. Mando season 3 is probably going to be the one thing that will kind of be somewhat of a big event, but it's still not going to equal it's still not going to equal the movies.
But The Mandalorian is the only branding within the greater Star Wars brand that seems to move anything. Like Mandalorian merch is their only Star Wars merch that moves.
Yeah.
Like, and that's only some of the characters too. So like the Grogu stuff moves, Mando, Din, his stuff moves, and some of the other Mandalorians that they've added in, like Bo-Katan, Kryze, all that. Like that's actually stuff that is a sellable product. There's something interesting there, and there's enough character there within the characters that have been introduced in that show to where people give enough of a damn. None of this other stuff, even to your point, the sequel trilogy. Dude, I used to manage, for several years, I was a store manager for GameStop. I ran multiple locations, and we carried merch, we carried toys. And the idea was to carry the stuff that sold. And let me tell you, sequel trilogy Star Wars stuff did not sell.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the last location that I managed, we still had a couple of the Rey figures that were from Last Jedi. And they were clearanced down to something like $7, and that nobody wanted them. They
all find their way to a Ollie's somewhere.
The big Ollies in the sky.
Yeah.
I have made a couple of videos about Star Wars toys once or twice. Maybe you've heard of them. No, it's so satisfying though that like the fans were right about this. The people that were like, these characters aren't as good, or they're not this or that. For all the bullshit that all the media people wanted to, the fans are toxic, or they're Russian bots, or they're trolls, or they're racist. It's not a sweet victory, but the Star Wars fans kind of won in a way, because we always said it was crap, and everybody that liked it abandoned it or was never even there for the first place. So it's an ugly victory, but I think the Star Wars fans I don't know. They lost and they won at the same time. Like, if you thought these movies were bad, now everyone kind of sees them that way. But Star Wars is dead, so you've lost again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goku McDuck. I don't know if Big Lots is still around. I just saw one not that long ago. They're even out here.
I've never
Big
been
Lots
in
used to
one,
be
but
the
I've
shit.
seen them around.
Man, they got a lot of good stuff in Big Lots.
Yeah, because this is why it was so alarming for me, like with the Star Wars stuff. A little inside baseball for a quick second. My mom always took me to get toys, whatever I would want from Toys R Us. But if she ever went to Big Lots to pick up like random crap for the house, they would always have like older toys, like for maybe the previous year or the previous line at Big Lots for like significantly less. For example, let's say you went to Toys R Us and you picked up the Batman Returns Batman. Maybe Big Lots might still have an 89 Joker or still have another Batman. It's just like something random like that, just to give you like an idea of what I'm talking about. But with Star Wars, that shit never went there. Like, my mom still would get the random crap for the house at Big Lots. Even at the peak of my Star Wars fandom. Walmart, Toys R Us, Target, only the main stores. Even when Star Wars went away and came back, prequel era, all that crap, that got clearanced at those stores. It never reached that secondary location. Like, you might see, like, Star Wars, I don't know, like, Fun
Paper
Noodles
plates
or Star
or-
Wars. Yeah, random-ass shit. But never, like, the good
Toothbrushes.
toys. Yeah, all that crap.
Yeah.
And then Disney takes over, and then you do see the mainline stuff there. So that's just another, like, look at, like, how far everything had changed with those, with that brand. And who gives a shit now about Andor? Something that's completely... I would say Andor is objectively better than Obi-Wan and Book of Boba
That's
Fett in every way.
that's the bar,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I agree that the bar is so low, but even with making that objective or that statement about how it's objectively better, it still is not Star Wars level of quality.
No. Yeah, definitely not. It doesn't have that sort of fantasy, adventure, fun. It's like they took the fun out of Star Wars, and that's Andor. Pretty
You should
much.
put that on the DVD menu or the DVD box. It's like they took the fun out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, they took the fun out. But this last episode did have some fun in it. One of the coolest scenes was the TIE fighter pilots running to their stations and loading into the TIE fighters. We've never actually seen that before. They did look kind of bobbleheadish to me a little bit. But other than that little nitpick criticism, that scene was pretty cool. And the thing is, with most of this Disney Star Wars stuff, I can cherry pick little things here and there where I'm like, okay, that was cool, but at the end of the day, when you take it as a whole, it's just, like I said, again, it's just not Star Wars.
No, we miss the good old days.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know how we got on that for as long as we did. I'd like to apologize for those who fell asleep during the Andor segment, me being one of them. So, guys, do you think Ezra Miller is going to actually go to jail for 26 years, or do you think he's going to get away?
I think he's going to get protected by his Hollywood buddies.
Yeah, he'll get out of it some way or another.
Anybody else, any one of us did the shit
Yeah.
that he did, we'd be in there for 25 to life.
Yeah.
But nope.
Yeah, he is in that elite level of society where they can get away with that stuff. I mean, we still haven't gotten. No one's been arrested for the Island Projects thing that will not be named because I don't want to get Jeff's video stream shut down. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Still no arrests really involved with anybody that went there. And so many other things that have gone on that people just have not gotten in trouble for, where if it was any normal person out there would be locked up for years, So yeah, I think somehow, some way he'll end up getting out of it.
I think so too. And it's going to be, I always try to be fair on like, hey, I try to separate the artist from the art, but like this is a harder one to ever want to separate because this is an unhinged guy that could get away depending on whatever in the eye of the law. But it's one of those situations where my perception of Ezra Miller's changed, and I don't want to see him in any of these movies. Like, I don't want to go out and support DC anyway, but now I have a reason to just say no thank you outright. It's Ezra Miller, and I always wish the best for everyone, but I hope the truth comes out in all of this, and I hope everybody gets what's coming to them. I know that sounds mean, but it's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's check back in with the audience real quick. Wolf, pick a number between 1 and 69, please.
Let's go 24.
Number 24.
Hello, Dion.
The fuck?
Has he seen all these?
Oh, yeah. People request these on the show that he's on, and he always turns his volume down so he doesn't have to hear them.
Wow.
Like I said, I love to troll my buddy. So, SH Rebels 08. Wow, okay. He says, I'll take a ghost horse and a Joe Rogan high as fuck. Well, I just pressed the ghost horse. But that shouldn't count. So SH Rebels 08, you want to pick another one, or you want to wait a couple and I'll press it again? But while you decide, I will press the Joe Rogan button for you right about now.
Imagine if you gave a white supremacist 5-MeO DMT, and then as the first one, as they're exhaling,
Yeah.
There you go. Let me check the chat real quick to see which one he requests, if he's still here. Oh, you requested a 69. All right, well, cool. Here you
I
go.
did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Good choice. So, checking with the audience. Darian217, thank you very much for a very, very generous super chat. He says, Biker Crash always reminds me of the GTA 5 online bike mission, Bank Heist Pacific Standard, where the game wants you to use those sports bikes to get away. Biker Crash button with reporter that breaks face reporting the news, please. Well, of course. Ask, and ye shall. Wait, where's do I have the original one on here? Yeah, I have the original one, right? Shit, hold on. I didn't delete it, but where's it at? So yeah, we have the original one where it shows the lady laugh. But here, let me press this.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, where the hell did the other button go? Shit. I am sorry. We have lost that one, apparently. If you could send us another request, we'll gladly press you that one. StreamYards has a limit of buttons, and after a while, you try to upload the new ones, and you have to delete other things. So that must have got hit, but I'll re-upload that. Sorry there, Darian217. But what else did he say in the super chat? I don't remember that online mission, to be completely honest, because GTA Online looked amazing when it first came out. I didn't get on board with it right away, and then I felt like I was at a deficit, and then never tried to catch up. So we're talking 9 years of well, it came out 9 years ago, but online was a couple months later. Let's say 8 years of GTA Online. I'm very behind. Maybe if GTA 6 has like a new online that I can get a good chance at catching up with, then I'll give it a shot. But I never did that one. I feel like I missed out though. TLJ Screwjob, thank you very much. The only character I liked was K2SO, but that's Alan Tudyk, not the actual character. Already said how to roll my eyes. Oh my God, Vader, seen on WCBS. Yeah, look, you're not wrong about your assessment with the Rogue One ending. It is that one scene of a movie. It's a cool scene, but hindsight just goes to show you how easily distracted we were by how Darth Vader looked cool again.
Yeah.
It's because it's contrasted against all the crap that we had leading up to it.
Yeah. I mean, the people, one of the criticisms I saw, or one of the praises I saw online was Darth Vader hasn't looked this good since 1983, and they were, complaining about Anakin Skywalker and Hayden Christensen and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that scene of Darth Vader is cool, but when Darth Vader put the suit on in Episode 3, the no was whatever, but the other parts were actually pretty cool. So I don't think Darth Vader really needed much fixing for Rogue One. It was just kind of like a hat on a hat. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, no,
fluff
that wasn't
unnecessary fluff.
That wasn't a fix. That was like, okay, this is something cool. Granted, it is strictly for nostalgia, but it was cool. I don't
There's
How-
ultimate fan service.
Well, sometimes you need to go ultimate fan service, and then sometimes you just need to know, like that. You need to know that balance going in, and I don't think Disney cared to know, or modern Lucasfilm cared to know. If you want to, I guess, place blame on the right place. TLJ Screwjob also says, I remember Alan Tudyk doing an interview where he said he was not asked to come back for Andor, and I found out and said, what the fuck, LOL. And it said, what the fuck, not, excuse me. He's coming back for the second season, though. That is confirmed. I guess it was more along the lines of his character doesn't fit in with the first season, but I love Alan Tudyk as well. You guys watching Resident Alien at all?
I have not.
No, but I remember him in Firefly.
I like Alan Tudyk. I always think of him as Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball. Adam Wofford, thank you very much. I believe it's your birthday, man. Happy birthday. He says, you guys remember when Collider had a stream to prove that Rey wasn't a Mary Sue? Now those people are agreeing with us. Can I get a ghost horse? Sure. I think enough time has passed from ghost horse to ghost horse. So here we go. Here is your request.
Hello, Dion.
Still demonic. Zombie Box Reviews, thank you very much for the high-fiving Shiba Inu dog. Greatly appreciate that super sticker. And then SH Rebels 08 has this, and now we're going to finally talk about G4 after we get to press one of the best buttons in the history of WCBS. Jamaram! You guys remember the High Republic and Ram Jamaram? I don't.
Golly.
Does
That
anybody?
was terrible. Ram Jamaram and God, what was the
Leox
rock?
Gayasi? Oh,
Yeah.
Slade?
Geodude?
Or Geo.
Whatever the hell his name was.
Geode, yeah. It's terrible. Terrible.
What are things we don't care about for 500, Alex? So, guys, G4 is dead again. Are you surprised by this news?
No.
Nope.
Not even a little bit. This
Nor
was
am
an
I.
inevitability. This is an absolute inevitability. Ever since Frost went on that stupid ass rant of hers, that was when she put the nail in the coffin of G4. I was like, this is going to take probably a year for it to fully wrap up, but this network's big comeback is going to die very quickly.
And you know
And they
what?
already had
I
an
was not
uphill
sad.
battle to begin with, bringing it back anyways, basically doing stuff that other YouTubers are now doing and probably doing even better.
Yeah.
And then you throw in her little sexism and gaming rant. You know, I was like, oh, they're done. Like that's the end. That's the end. This thing is going to just die a slow death from here on out. And yeah,
It wasn't that slow.
it wasn't even back for a year. What a joke.
Yeah, we're 10 months in, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah.
It's really
Now-
pathetic. I grew up with G4.
Yeah,
Same.
same.
I watched it. Morgan Webb, Adam Sessler, before we knew he was a shitbag.
Yeah.
Yep. I was disappointed the most when I heard that from him because I used to love extended play and then X play and all that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Same.
So, obviously, Frost's stuff sped up all of these things, but let's say she didn't open her mouth. Do you think G4 would have made it through this year, or do you think it would have still died 10 months in?
Through this year, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have lasted much more than a year, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And I would have been okay with that.
And before I found out what I heard today, like I heard that they were paying guests like $25,000 to $30,000 a day to come on set and shoot shows on G4. And I'm
How do you
like,
justify that budget?
yeah, I'm like, that budget is just insane. You know, they got all these people that they're hiring, these guests that they're paying for, this studio space. Like it's just not sustainable with their numbers. And so like I said, they had an uphill battle to begin with anyways, and the Frost grant just did not help things with them at all. I mean, if they were going to bring this back, they really needed to put a tight budget on it, a very small budget, and just see where it went and try to build that audience up. And then maybe slowly each year, you know, make the budget bigger if it's doing well or whatnot. But they just went like balls in, like throw the money in there and just start chunking money out everywhere, like for this show. And it just, it was dead.
I mean, how could you think that G4 programming is worth that much money? Look at what they produced for the new modern G4. They would get like YouTube shows to broadcast on there.
Yeah.
Why would anyone watch a YouTube channel that's going to feature YouTube content from another YouTube channel instead of just going to the real channel and then watching all that content? Like,
exactly.
G4 did not need to exist. And it's sad because I watched G4 through college. Like that was my go-to on like most school nights. You know, you got class till 4:00. By the time you have dinner, do your homework at 7. Fuck, I'd watch Attack of the Show and then finally get to do stuff. I loved that. G4 was my jam until it shit the bed.
G4 is an archaic model. The way that
Before
it existed.
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Before YouTube really took off to where it is now. You can't replicate that because individuals who are aside from being attached to Google, obviously, they are autonomous and separate from all these big networks. They don't have to rely on their funding. They've got their own studios. They've got their own shit. They got their own cameras, and they just sit and talk to their audience. We don't need G4. They outlived their usefulness.
Well said. I really think it was an inevitability, and there really isn't too much to say else. What do you guys in the chat think? Because I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, the Caffeinated Wolf just made me think of something else. Like bringing G4 back today would be like the same thing if Nintendo was to bring back the Nintendo Power Hotline number. We could call and get cheats and help on boards on levels of stuff. You know, it's like you can literally go on YouTube and find this out or do a Google search. Like you don't have to call the Nintendo Power Hotline and pay $1.99 a minute to get help on your Zelda game, you know? So it's like that G4 and all that stuff was a time of its era. And it just doesn't work today because of the internet and YouTube.
Exactly. God, you bringing up the Nintendo Power Hotline is fucking. That's a deep ass cut. That's like early childhood. For me.
I called that thing a couple times.
Does anybody remember the fact that the Nintendo Power strategy guides, the official quote unquote guides, were in a lot of cases like the lowest produced in terms of quality of most of the strategy guides that were out there?
Dude, you would not, if you were like in the know, you wanted the Prima strategy guides. They had the best ones. They were the thicker books. They had,
and
they
them.
came out the
I still
same
got a
time.
couple.
Oh man, now I want to. The best strategy guides, like the Zelda one was bullshit, the official Nintendo Power one, but the Prima one was like triple the size, and they had like diagrams and like official illustrations. The thing is, like, they were all officially licensed. Nintendo just was so fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, their maps were a joke.
I got the strategy guide, the official Breath of the Wild strategy guide book, and that thing is thick and huge.
Oh,
It
yeah.
comes with this big, huge fold-out map that's like the size of like a 8-person table, and it's huge. And I still haven't beaten that game. I could literally go beat Ganon like right now, but I'm like trying to complete all this other stuff. But yeah,
It's so satisfying when you do, though.
Yeah.
I've got like 550 hours in that game.
I thought my GTA San Andreas game time was impressive.
I got a few games that are up there. But yeah, Breath of the Wild definitely was a time sink for me.
I mean, it was that great of a game. I was in the earlier stages of building the channel when that game came out, and it really slowed down some of our growth because I was like, hey, Zelda's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great
it's a fun game.
I'm looking forward to the second one once it drops. Of course, I'm gonna have to buy a Switch because all I got's a Wii U, and that's what I played it on. So,
oh, okay. That's like that console's in demand again. So if you have it, don't ever get rid of it.
Oh, I never get rid of my consoles. I still got
good.
The only ones I got rid of that I wish I never would have is my PS1 and PS2 stuff. Like I sold it a lot, like years and years ago, but all my PS3, PS4, Wii U, I still have all the games, consoles, all of it. Still hooked up, ready to go.
All I got hooked up currently is the PS4 and I got the PS4, the Switch, and the Xbox Series X hooked up. But my PS4, I don't even play it much anymore. There's not anything really to do with PlayStation these days. I feel like the fans have turned on them, and they're not putting out a lot of new games. So,
yeah, I got a PS5 literally to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC. I bought one just to play that DLC because I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. It was good.
Well, it lived up to the hype?
Yeah, I liked it. There's those people that have issues with it, but I'm fine with it. I thought it was great.
I need to get more into Final Fantasy. I enjoyed it back in the day, and I enjoyed Final Fantasy Tactics, but that's the early 2000s that I'm playing Final Fantasy. It's been that long since I've could even consider myself even in the know.
The nice thing about the remake is it's more of like an action RPG than like the old style turn-based. And you can actually get the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo on PS4 if you wanted to just try out the demo and see if it'd be something you were interested in playing. But it's a great game, great storyline, great characters. When it was originally written, had a lot of Star Wars influence in it. A lot of the names of the characters are Star Wars characters names, like some of the side characters and stuff. So yeah, it's great. You should definitely check out the demo. At least it's free.
Oh, dude, that price is perfect. I'll check it out. I have no excuse not to. So is there really much else to say about G4? You guys think, or should we move on?
Ooh. The thing about did you see Frost's tweets today? Her basically throwing the execs under the bus about her her rant. That. Yeah, so she put some tweets out there saying that her rant was approved by all the execs there, and then apparently once all the backlash hit, they basically told her that they were supporting her, but the support never came. Then they started going in another direction with the whole Amaranth stuff, with her jumping out of the ball pit, in a bikini and all that, and basically being complete hypocrites to what she was complaining about. And then apparently management was leaving, and then new management came in, and then things were like openly hostile and all this craziness. The funny thing is the completionist who Gerard the completionist, who was the more heavyset guy with the beard sitting next to her when she was doing that rant. I'm actually going to be hanging out with him this weekend, and I'm gonna try to. I get a lot of questions to ask him about it, like just kind of off the record, behind the scenes, because I'm curious to know like kind of how all this stuff went down. Kind of behind the scenes. I don't know if he's going to be allowed to talk about it. I mean, off the record, I'm sure he'd be able to, but
Probably under NDA, but yeah, that would be my guess.
I'm waiting for the book to come out on the death of G4. It'll all be from that one point of view. January 2022. She opens her mouth. We all lost our jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Gore's doing a documentary on G4. I wonder if he's going to include another part to the startup and then complete failure and destruction of it. Coming back on YouTube and not even lasting a full year.
Well,
yeah, it's just sad. Go ahead, Jeff.
You definitely have to address its decline and its second death if you're going to make a definitive documentary on it.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Nick that they tried pivoting and turning around on their stance publicly, at least without admitting that they let somebody go off on people that were supposed to be their customers by bringing Amaranth and all this and trying to somewhat half-ass replicate the G4 of old, with like Sarah Underwood and whatnot and Morgan Webb and them. And it's like, dude, these people, if they really want to see Amaranth, they can go over to her Twitch.
Yeah.
They don't need you. They really don't. You are bringing nothing to the table here that they can't get somewhere else and better. Because here's the thing. If they're showing up for Amaranth, 5 minutes of her on your show is nothing. They can go watch her do however hell long she streams, several hours of her just talking into a microphone or laying by her pool or whatever. Like, if they're there for her, they can get a lot more of her elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no telling what they were paying her per day to be there during that film.
I gotta believe that they paid her bank. And the reason why I say that is because she makes so much money on her streams that for her to say, okay, I'm not going to go onto my own damn Twitch channel and stream myself and make thousands of dollars sitting by the pool and talking and reading the chat. You must be paying her a lot of money for her to turn that easy money down.
Yeah, I'm sure she's probably one of the people that was getting, $25,000, $30,000 a day to just film for literally she'd be there for just a couple hours, go over stuff, actually do the filming, the shooting, and then bounce, and it's just not a sustainable business model when your views are in the absolute toilet.
It is not. So, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make some additions to the G4 video that I had already written. And so, folks, you'll have to check it out.
You dropping that this week?
Oh, yeah, in a couple days. I'm going to be making more content per week. Thank you. I'm excited too. People have liked the new stuff. I just want to get away from Andor. God damn it. I just want to watch that show.
I can't imagine.
It's hard, man. It's hard. That's why me and Coach started a second channel, Echo Base Entertainment, to cover all non-Star Wars stuff. Because anytime we'd put non-Star Wars content on there, we wouldn't get shit for views on it. It's like YouTube would be like, oh, this isn't Star Wars content. We're not pushing it.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, folks, check out Echo Base Entertainment. That is the secondary channel.
Yep.
Make sure you guys are subscribed. We'll folks moderators, can you send out the link to that too if you guys can grab it? I need to grab water in a minute, but I can't right this second. So let's take this person off the screen because it'll make everyone happier. And this was a request from a super chat from earlier.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh.
My
brother lives up in Alaska, and those things are huge, and you definitely don't want to get too close to them.
You don't want to hit that with your car. They'll do more damage to your car.
Oh, yeah.
So, Checking in with the audience. Let's see where we are at tonight. Folks, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a fun show. Probably won't go as long as last week's show, but that's okay. We'll be back on Thursday. It's going to be a birthday celebration, a channel, mine, all that fun stuff. It's going to be a big night. So join us on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we have a full show. We also celebrate the closing of the book and a whole lot more. And be on the lookout for another stream about the book this week, as well as a video of me creating one of the pieces of art from Tits and Art. TLJ Screwjob says, my fave is Dodge a car scene, only 40% metal. Dodge a car scene. What Dodge a car scene? You guys know what he's talking about? My fave Dodge a car scene?
Mm-mm.
I have no idea.
TLJ Screwjob, if you could tell us in the chat normally, I'd appreciate that. Adam Wofford says, you know what else was released today besides me? H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimated with Jeffrey Collins. Does that make someone... What does that make someone in the Necronomicon? Do you mean the film Reanimator with Jeffrey Combs? Because I didn't realize that today was the anniversary of that film. I love The Reanimator. The scene with the severed head. Ooh, that's a good one. You guys seen The Reanimator?
I have not.
No, sir.
Check it out if you like horror. It is a classic.
Speaking of horror, real quick, is Horror Hound this next March?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they always had it in September or October.
They have both.
Oh, okay.
And we do both. So we're going to be doing the Cincinnati one in March, and then we'll do the one in September because
I'll be
it's
there
a good
in
market
March.
for us. Sweet. A couple other channels are going to get tables too. So let me know, and like I said, I'll get you a vendor badge so you can have access to the tables and hang out at the show with us and stuff instead of getting a regular ticket. But yeah, folks, we'll make announcements for all of our meetups. We'll make announcements for all of our projects. We'll make announcements for everything because that's what we do. We're everywhere. We do stuff all the time, and we keep on rolling. But I think we might have reached a pretty good point for tonight's show, a nice tight two, because I'll be honest, I'm tired. It's been a long couple of days. You can hear me slowing down. And I think we kind of hit everything. I know Rings of Power isn't really a hot button issue right now. The season's over. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's over.
I believe they just had the finale. I only saw the first 2 episodes.
Same.
And I was
First
just like,
two.
I cannot fucking do this.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
stopped.
way you are going to sit me down for several more hours of this trash. And I damn near came away with retinoblastoma after just those first 2 episodes. I wasn't going to subject myself to any more. I was like, nope, I'm good. It was garbage, just like I thought it was going to be. That was an atrocity. They only did this after Christopher Tolkien died because he would have not allowed that shit to be greenlit.
Oh, no way. No way. Yeah.
Are there any positives to how the show looks or anything like that, or is it just all dog shit across the board?
The
It had some pretty
cinematography and the
scenery.
tools. Yeah. I
Had some
thought
pretty
that
scenery.
it looked great. I thought the show looked great, but the story, the characters, it was complete trash. It was almost sort of like Star Wars, because like the sequel trilogy, like the cinematography and the look of it and stuff, really didn't have a whole lot of issue with a lot of that aspect. I thought it looked fine. It came down to the writing and the storytelling and the characters.
Right. If you
it's
had
the
told me
exact
that-
same thing with this show.
If you had told me that this was just a generic fantasy TV series, I'd have been
On
like,
Sci-Fi Channel.
It's okay, I guess, at best. None of the characters are particularly likable, but it looks pretty. Okay, fine, whatever. You tell me that that's supposed to take place in Tolkien's universe?
Yeah, no way. No way.
No, it does not.
I'm a big,
You're full of
huge
crap.
Lord of the Rings fan, and
Same.
2 episodes was as much as I could take of it. I was like, man, I can't watch any more of this show. I already got to go suffer through watching Star Wars content. I'm not going to subject myself to bad Tolkien content.
Was House of the Dragon any better?
Oh, that show's good, man. I'm liking it. Going into it, I thought it was going to be complete trash. I was like, I cannot wait for this. I'm going to shit all over the show. It's going to be so terrible. And man, it actually has surprised me. It's been good. I've liked it up to this point.
I'll up front say that I'm not a huge Game of Thrones fan. I haven't read the books. I've only seen the first 2 seasons of the HBO series. So I'm coming at this from kind of a different angle than I guess a lot of people, at least people that were fans and watched the series as it was airing initially. I'm several episodes behind. I've seen only, I think, like the first 4 episodes, but what I have seen, it has my interest. I've been pretty busy, so I haven't been able to catch up on the episodes that I missed yet. But I want to, and I plan to, because there's enough going on that piques my interest where I'm like, okay, yeah, I actually want to see where this goes. There are a couple of heavy-handed moments where I'm like, you could have handled that a little better. It's a little too in your face. I don't think it's necessary. But beyond that, the show is good. I will say the show is good.
Yeah, it's not without its flaws, but man, I don't dread watching it at each week, like because me and Coach do our review and Patreon videos where we react to the full episode and kind of talk about it, and every single week it's more interesting. Like hearing conversation between 2 characters in that show is more interesting than conversation between any 2 characters in Andor. It's done so much better than so many other shows out there. Again, it's not without its flaws. It does have some, but overall, what I thought was going to be a complete shit show like freaking Rings of Power has actually turned out to actually be a pretty decent watchable show. And this last episode, it really kicked up a notch. And next week is the final episode of the first season. It's only going to be 3 seasons long, but it's I can't really hate on it a whole lot, man. Just to be honest, And I thought I'd feel a lot different about the show.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, though. That's the thing. I'm glad people are being honest about it. I'm glad that people being angry about the show to be angry about it isn't just the case anymore. Like, good, bad, objective, whatever. I'm just happy to hear, people talk about a show.
Well, yeah. I mean, as we're closing out here, I think it's important to always remain intellectually honest and not just shit on things for the sake of shitting on things because it's a popular thing to do. I think you need to actually call things for what they are. If something really is dog water, call it that and make sure you're explicit with your reasons why. Make sure people understand why. And if something is actually good, praise it for being good and say why. Make your argument why. Because otherwise your arguments and your criticisms start to lose weight if you're just always labeling everything trash just for the sake of labeling it trash because people want to hear you call something trash. I think you lose credibility in that eventually, because at some point, some people will wise up enough to be like, well, like I heard what you said and I watched it and that doesn't line up with what I saw. And then eventually more and more people catch on to that. And then you just kind of look like a jackass that's yelling.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I really haven't been able to hate on Andor. Is it Star Wars? No.
It's just not interesting.
It's just not that good, But there really hasn't been a whole lot in it for me to just really hate and trash on. It's just, it is what it is.
God, it'll be out in 4 hours. I'm not excited. That's what it is for me. It's just, it's an inevitability.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm too.
I'm just sitting over here like, I'm not watching that.
I got a bunch of content to make, which I like to do, so I'm gonna go do that. So, anything you guys would like to say before we close this show out?
No, not that I can think of. I'm doing my thing, enjoying streaming more regularly over on Twitch. I'm doing a lot of stuff with Eric with the Rippaverse right now. Been really busy with that because we're in fulfillment right now, and I'm just grateful that you asked me to be on tonight, Jeff. I always love being over here, getting to talk geek shit, cape shit, all the good shit, and the bad shit. I needed to make sure I got that earworm back into you.
I'm going to make a cape shit t-shirt. just to piss you off.
Do it. Nah, man, monetize that. It won't make me
Cape
mad.
Shit.
Make yourself
should-
some money.
Down the road, we'll start a podcast called Cape Shit. It'll just be you and I talking about superhero movies. People, will be like,
dude, go for 5.5 hours.
yeah, it'd be like 27-hour episodes of us going over the minutia of like Spider-Man 2. It's like, look, we've watched the movie 10 times by the time this podcast is ended, but hey, it's the definitive take on Spider-Man 2. Top that. Our goal should be to go so in depth over superheroes that we hate the shit we talk about by the end of the episode.
By the end, we're sick of it and we want to step away.
We had 2 more super chats roll in. First off, from Headcase Laboratory, looks like G4 couldn't find its G spot. Well, that is correct, my friend.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
No, we're all left high and dry, which is the way no one wants to be. Darian217 says, "Where are my horses and Joe Rogan Stormtrooper to end the night on a crash? More interesting to watch on a loop than Andor, I bet." Well, of course. Andor's full of not a lot, but you at least get this.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
Who are you? What are you doing here, and where are my horses?
Oh, so that's the part 1 that you were talking about.
Yeah. Demonic
Okay.
shit.
Mortifying.
It is. So, no, Wise Guys Entertainment, we didn't actually review Black Adam. We were just talking about the terrible reviews. So, you know, folks, you go out and check out the movie if you'd like. If you think that something is pretty intriguing, don't let us deter you from that. We're just here to give our opinions, but we also want you to give us yours. So, if you see something that you like and we don't, tell us why. We're not here to shit on you. We just want to have the conversation. But in the meantime,
Are you going
folks,
to see it this week, Jeff?
Probably not.
Okay.
I got birthday plans, and I think I'd rather do anything than watch Black Adam. But if I do watch Black Adam over my birthday, it means I didn't have better things to do. So,
Okay.
Well, I hope you have a better birthday than what would force you to go see Black Adam.
I do too. Thank you. So, folks, Thursday night's going to be a fun party show. Tell everyone about it. Tell 2 friends. Tell your mom. Tell your grandma. Don't tell them. It'd be weird. We don't want to have to curtail the show, or censor ourselves for their ears. But in the meantime, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.